Hey gang, Craig Ripley here. Welcome to Living Off the Slab. Now every once in a while I get an email from one of my viewers that asks a pretty good question, and so I think that it's a good idea when that happens to make some videos and share it with everybody out there. And that is what we're going to do today. I got an email from Alan, one of my viewers, that was asking the differences between traveling with friends and traveling alone. Now, I enjoy traveling with my friends, and I also enjoy traveling alone. They are slightly different experiences, however. You know, with your friends, you have the camaraderie of the open road, you share these experiences, but also you have more than one ego to deal with, more than one opinion, right? So sometimes you have to balance that out. So traveling alone, on the other hand, you don't have to worry about anybody else but yourself, right? If you decide you want to push on a few extra miles, well, then you can do that. If you decide that you want to stop every hour, well, then you can do that. If you decide that you want to make a change of plans and go off in a completely different direction, well, there's nobody stopping you from doing that either. So again, it's a balance, right? You get good things in traveling together with friends, and there are also benefits from traveling alone. If you do decide to travel alone, that is go on a long trip by yourself, right? You need to be very comfortable with your own thoughts. I know for a lot of people that is something they really don't enjoy, right? It gets kind of boring for them, so they would much rather have somebody else along. Also, of course, having other people along can be a little bit safer, right? If something does happen, if some emergency does come up, then you have each other to rely on. If you're just by yourself, well, then it's just you. So you need to be prepared for those emergency situations. Now, in either instance, traveling in a group or traveling by yourself, right, you do need to be prepared if your bikes break down, right, or there's some other kind of emergency. Right, so you do need to carry, for example, a toolkit, at least a basic toolkit that is going to allow you to handle, again, basic situations that might arise. And of course, the primary one that is probably going to happen is going to be a flat tire. So you need to have a tire changing kit and some kind of pump along to pump that tire back up again. The good thing about traveling in a group is that you can spread out those tools, right? You only need one tire repair kit, right? You only need one pump. So one of the guys in the group can carry the pump, another one can carry the tire repair kit, right? So that kind of spreads out the load a little bit. But of course, if you're traveling by yourself, well, then you've got to carry all of that stuff with you. So again, I'm going to suggest if you're traveling by yourself, make sure that you are prepared for emergencies. Make sure that you have a good emergency repair kit. Now, in either case, you should make sure that your bike is in good working order before you set out on your trip. Right? However, of course, if you do break down, as we've been talking about, if you have others there to help you, then things get to be a little bit easier, right? So it is really important if you're traveling by yourself that you make sure your bike is in good working order. And also, it's really important, at least in my opinion, that you do a quick safety check every morning before you hit the road. Another thing that I always carry with me is a first aid kit. However, if you're traveling, again, with your friends, then your first aid kit is going to be a little bit different, or at least it can be a little bit different, right? Because in that particular case, you're going to be carrying stuff to help treat your friends if they go down and they're wounded. In the case when you're traveling by yourself, well, then you're going to be taking care of yourself. So that's really more minor things. If you get cuts and scrapes and those kinds of things while you're out on the road, then you can handle those. But if you go down and you're injured pretty badly, well, it's not you that's going to be taking care of yourself. Right? You're going to have to rely on the kindness probably of strangers, those people that might be around you. So if you're prepared to treat other people, then you might want to have things like trauma pads, a tourniquet, or an Israeli bandage, right? However, if you're traveling by yourself, well, you're not going to be able to apply those things to yourself very easily, right? More than likely, you're going to be incapacitated if you need to have those kinds of things applied. So carrying them along with you doesn't probably do a whole lot of good. Another thing that might be a little different when you're traveling by yourself versus with friends is how often you stop. Right? I know that typically when I'm traveling in a group, we'll set out and do 100, 150 miles at a shot, and then we'll pull over, get some gas, go to the bathroom, what have you. However, when I'm traveling by myself, here lately, in the last couple of trips, I make it a habit to stop every hour. And I do that because I want to keep myself fresh. Right? I go in, walk around for a few minutes, use the bathroom. If I'm hungry, I get something to eat. Maybe I do a little bit of stretching. Again, just to keep my mind fresh and not have that monotony of sitting on the bike for so long, hour after hour. Again, that just helps me, again, stopping a little bit more often when I'm traveling by myself. Another thing that I think is very important, and we've talked about this in other videos, is staying hydrated. And this is important no matter whether you're riding by yourself or with a group. However, of course, if you're riding with a group, then you do have other people to help you out if you get in trouble. If you're by yourself, then it's all on you, right? So staying hydrated is more important. So another thing to think about when you're traveling by yourself is the safety of your bike, right? Because again, if you're with your friends, they can help you out. However, if you are by yourself and your bike gets damaged, your bike gets stolen, gets vandalized, well, again, then you may get stuck. So keeping it safe can be very important. Now, personally, I do not carry anything special to keep my bike locked up or keep my bike safe. I have done that by choosing good hotels to stay at. Right? Typically, I will go to a moderately priced hotel. Something like a Best Western is one of my favorite hotel chains. And I do that because, one, they are usually good quality. They have free breakfast, but also they have lighted and often patrolled parking lots. Right? And if you are nice and you go in and you, again, ask very nicely, they will often let you park your bike near the front and maybe even under the covered area. So all you have to do is ask them, and that'll help keep your bike safe that way. So another thing you can do is to take a cover along with you. Now, of course, if you have the space, because covers do often take up a lot of space. So try to find one that packs pretty small. But if you can get that in your luggage, right, then using that every evening keeps your bike out of sight, right? If your bike can't be seen, then people will often just walk by it, right? But if the big shiny bike is sitting out there, it looks awful tempting to maybe try to grab something off of it, maybe sit on it. Had that happen just the other day when we were out on a ride. And also people, might just feel like they need to vandalize it, right? So keeping it covered is a really simple thing that you can do to, again, help keep your bike safe. A couple of other things that are good to have, especially if you're traveling by yourself, but actually at any time, are roadside assistance. Again, I get mine through the AMA, only had to use it once, and it was very good. Although, guys, you do have to wait a little bit, just like any towing company. They're not going to come out right away, but when they did, they were very good. And another thing you might consider is, of course, traveler's insurance. And this is just going to help with any medical costs, or especially if you're traveling into other countries, then some repatriation costs that might be associated if you have an accident. Again, most of the time that is really short money compared to what you're usually spending on your trip. All right, so I think it's well worth having. And speaking of safety, and I know we've covered this a couple of times before, and that is having some kind of satellite SOS device, whether that's a Spot device or this one from DeLorme. Either one can help you out, again, especially in the instance when you're by yourself, right, and you need to punch that button. Okay, so one last suggestion, and I think this is actually probably one of the most important ones, and that is when you're traveling by yourself, take time to enjoy yourself. It's very easy, at least I know it is for me, to get out there on the road and just put the hammer down and just keep riding and riding and riding. Well, try not to do that. If there are things that you want to see, places you want to go along your route, make sure you take the time to go do those. That is what really makes your ride into a vacation or into an adventure, into an experience, right? Otherwise, it's just hammering on the highway, right? Again, you don't want to do that, right? You want to enjoy the experience. All right, gang, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like what you see, please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you click that bell so that you get notified of new videos. Also, you can help support this channel by becoming a Slab Insider over at our Patreon page. Helps keep these videos coming, and we're going to be doing some special videos for all of the patrons over the course of the winter here, and that is talking about my travel plans for 2019, because that is coming up and I need to start formulating those. I've got them up here, but it's time to start putting them all together. So that's what we're going to be talking about out on the Patreon site. And of course, there are other ways that you can support this channel listed in the description of this video. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks a lot. Ride safe.